Okay, let's start with a question. How many of us went to business school when we started up in business?
I expect there won't be a particularly large show of hands.
No, and that's because most of us decided to go into business just doing something that we love, or maybe something that we're really good at doing.
It's usually a little way down the line that we start to reflect on not actually gaining a grounding in the useful things like sales, marketing, finance and operations.
Yeah, and that's when it all starts to feel, well, a bit difficult.
I'm Nicky. I've been running businesses since 2004, and I'm the founder of the Growth Community, which is a place where businesses come to network and support each other's business success.
And I'm James, and I started my business back in 2020, helping businesses, brands and organisations to unlock the power of podcasting, basically using audio as a way to market and grow their business.
Well, in our line of work, we both meet a lot of businesses and we're constantly learning new things from being around them. Every day literally is a business school day.
So we thought, why not grab some of this good stuff and turn it into a podcast? So please take your seats. Class is about to start.
Welcome back, class. We've got a really good subject for you today. It's probably one of the subjects that causes one of the biggest, huge amounts of anxiety for business owners, actually. So today we're going to be talking about pricing. And in the room today, we have Heath. So Heath, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Yep. I'm Heath Gunn from Move That Mountain. I'm a business and leadership strategist, which means I use a combination of coaching, consulting and mentoring to help business owners get a grip on their business and tackle the thorny issues or the anxiety-provoking issues that they struggle with as they're running their business.
To be fair, I think pricing goes in the thorny and anxiety-ridden, I think, doesn't it? I think it's a kind of a twofold thing. I think there's a lot of fear around pricing, particularly price rising.
Yep.
But also, it's just really hard as a small business, isn't it, to sit down and go, what should I charge? And I think there's kind of a whole array of things in there, from like understanding your position in the market, understanding who your target audience is and what they're willing to pay and what you're willing to do for that. But I think also some of it is mindset, because I think a lot of business owners don't have the confidence in themselves and they don't see the value. I know certainly in my early days, I really struggled with this. Am I adding enough value? Should I charge that amount of money? Are people going to pay for it? It's quite a difficult subject, actually. And if you don't come from a particularly numbers background, which, like me, I struggle with numbers. Stick a spreadsheet in front of me, it makes me want to cry. I literally don't know what to do with it. So I have to have someone hold my hand through numbers. So if you are that kind of person, this can feel like a pretty monstrous subject, can't it?
Yeah, there are so many elements to it. It's still, even now, one of the things that makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm kind of gearing up towards, I've got to sit down and do like my end of year pricing review, and then obviously the emails that have then got to go out to clients about where I am tweaking prices and stuff like that. Every single time, they're always totally cool with it. And I realise they're cool with it because they're quite happy with the work that I do, and they're not daft. Their prices are going up as well. Like, they recognise like there is definitely something going on in the world right now.
Everybody's doing it,
and yes, inflation is a problem, and bills are going up, everything's going up. So it's not outrageous. If you double overnight what you charge everyone, that might be a bit more difficult to justify. But there are definitely. There are challenges here, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. And I think, as you say, when you put it hand in hand with that almost fear of numbers, one of the things I try to talk some of my clients through is that your numbers just tell a story about where your business is going. If you try and frame it in that way, numbers become a bit less daunting. But the pricing thing, it's just a constant source of anxiety. It's, am I charging too much? Am I worth this much? Are my services or my products worth that much? Am I going to lose customers? And that's probably the biggest fear I come across, is that anxiety of attrition of customers, that if I put my price up, they're going to leave. And they're going to go somewhere else. And that's what I come across quite often.
But the thing is, like, they don't, do they?
No.
Or very, very rarely.
Very rarely.
But also, if you have, this is super basic, isn't it? But let's imagine you have 10 clients who all pay you £100 for the work that you do for them, and you think, do you know what? I'm going to double that. And if 5 of them leave, you're doing half the amount of work for exactly the same amount of money. And the half that go, yeah, I really value the work that you do. So it's like you can, there's so many ways in which you do it in your head. You also think like, race to the bottom is a really terrible place to find yourself.
Yes.
And actually just knowing that if you've not got loads of clients that are cancelling, you're probably pretty good at what you do. All those things that you think, it's all and yet it still brings people out in hives.
Constantly. And one of the notes I made earlier before I came in was that focus on profitability. And I think we get caught up in this vanity metrics of how many customers we've got. Or how many products we're selling, and you get caught up as a business owner. You're like, I've got to grow, which equals I need more customers. But actually, you're in business to generate profit.
Yes.
And as James just said, if you've got 5 customers delivering the same profit to your bottom line as your 10 customers, you're just working smarter, and you've got a lot more time on your hands. You can function better. You can run your business better because you work on it as well as in it. And the pricing gives you that freedom. If you price correctly and your price increases are, commensurate with what you do, and people, as you say, see the quality in what you do and the value, then you're going to hold on to them. I've got a guy I work with, a detail and validator. I've been working with him for the last 2.5 years. I meet with him every few months just to help with the growth of his business. He's just about to open a unit. And when I first started working with him, he was the cheapest validator, probably in South Yorkshire, but certainly in the Rotherham and surrounding areas. And I had a conversation with him a couple of years into his business. He said, I just can't make it pay. It's breaking. It won't go past break even. I said, okay, so let me have a look at your pricing structure. So we looked, and his 70% of his business was his cheapest valet, which were bronze, silver and gold. His bronze valet was £35. I said, well, why are you charging 35 quid? He said, because I wanted to undercut my competitor when I started. I was like, all right, okay, so you've understood your competitors. You know where you sit in the marketplace. What are they charging? 55. So why have you gone in at 35? He said, well, because I just want people to come to me. Okay, when did you do that? Well, 2 years ago. Right, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to put your prices up. He said, can't do that. So this whole conversation around the anxiety and fear of attrition, all that kind of thing. So I tell you what we'll do. Put your prices up tomorrow. He was really successful with like Facebook advertising and it improving his sort of bookings. Put your prices up tomorrow. Let your customers that you've got already on your maintenance plans know that the price is going up. Put it up to 45 quid and just test it. We'll talk in 2 weeks, and if you've lost money, we'll have a conversation about what that loss looks like and how I can mitigate that loss, because it's my advice. Came back to me 2 weeks later. I was like, how'd it go? He went, I hate you. I was like, go on, what happened? He said, I lost 3 customers. I went, oh, right, okay. Is that big because of the price? He went, no, they were a pain in the arse anyway. I wanted to lose them. I went, right, okay. And then he just sort of held this look on his face. I went, go on, what else happened? He went, I gained 12. And the reason he'd gained 12 is because that perception of quality. Because he'd gone from being the cheapest, which everybody thought there's a reason he's cheap, to being mid-range. He's now put his prices up 4 or 5 times. He's now the most expensive, and he's booked 7 weeks in advance. And he's just about to open a unit 2.5 years later. And it's just that perception of value of what you can do within that pricing environment. And it's getting over that initial, will they pay it? It's almost that anxiety, that sharp intake of breath, and just go for it.
I remember the first time I put my prices up, I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. Because I'd left it quite a while to put my prices up. And my coach was saying to me, oh, you've not put your prices up. All your suppliers have put the prices up, and I'm going, I know all this. And he's going, and what you offer, what you offer is really good. And I'm like, I know what I offer is really good. But what's going to happen? And I really got myself in the right state about it. And, like that one customer left, and they were going to leave anyway. And nobody even batted an eyelid.
No.
And actually someone said to me, well, you could double it. And I was like, well, yeah, I could do, but I don't want to. But, and now, and what I did at the time was I put a provisor in to say, I'm going to put my prices up a little bit every year. And then I don't have to stress about it anymore. I just put my prices up every year. A little bit, just enough to kind of like cover off inflation or whatever it is. But it just means that you are constantly getting into that cycle. And I think that's the important bit, isn't it? To be consistent about it. And if you don't need to put them up, then you don't.
But you take that view, don't you? Sometimes you don't. And if you put it into your business planning cycle, as James says, he's just about to do it this year. If that's part of your cycle, then you get into that sort of methodology, if you like, that this time of year you put your prices up ready for the end of March if that's your financial year. But you've got to put it into a process rather than it feel like something huge and a standalone exercise.
And I think it benefits everyone. And I've wondered about. I renewed my Virgin Media contract. In fact, I've renewed it twice in a month because I ended up renewing it and then upgrading it and renewing it again. So they now have every April, it goes up by £4 a month, and it just outlines it from this date it'll be this much, from this date it'll be this much, and actually like £4 a month increase every year is kind of outrageous, really. But you kind of think, well, at least you've told me. At least I know. If it just said, it will be 7.8% plus the RPI and something else, and you're just like,
well, that's what your mobile phone provider says, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what they used to, at least you think, well, at least you know what it is. And I'm thinking, should I, when I sign up a new client, should I just say, look, every January I put prices up by 10%. And then, would that makes it so much easier then to actually implement it. But then I'm like, God, is that too much? Is that right? But you're like, well, they either sign it or they don't. Yeah. Like, at least you're upfront with people, and you could do that with the growth community rather than saying a bit. It's like it goes up by inflation plus 2% or whatever. Or
that's basically what I do.
Amount.
I have a process. It happened. It goes live on the 1st of May. It's in my diary for about kind of March time for me to just decide. Right, is it going to be just inflation or what is it? And then we diary. There's a process for upgrading the terms and conditions and the membership form and the website and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it just on the 1st of May, that's it. Just goes live now, which just makes the whole thing feel very calm and relaxed, and you're not overthinking it. And
because it's a process. It's not a personal attack on your customers.
No, it's just equally, my suppliers have been putting their prices up, and they're you've got things you're outsourcing, you've got pieces of software you're using, things like that. All those things are increasing. If you're not increasing too, then ultimately, like you said, your profitability is ultimately going down because you're earning less money.
Yeah, and you're actually doing you and your business a disservice. You're actually cutting the amount you can invest in your business.
Yeah.
So you're not giving yourself the right amount of time. You're not investing in growth. You're not investing in having, the right quality. So if you want to improve the quality of the delivery and how the services work, or the talent that you've got around the room, you need money to do that. And you've got to have that money. And the only way you do that is by increasing your prices, because you've got a finite sum of money coming into your business. You've got to maximise that.
Yeah.
You can only cut costs so far. So sometimes the prices have to go up.
Sometimes people feel they can only justify putting the prices up if they offer a bit more with it.
Yeah.
And they feel that they've got to, like, that justification of prices going up such and such, but it means you'll get an extra, whatever it might be.
They give a bonus.
And for some businesses, that's quite easy for them to do. For other businesses, it might be a little bit more difficult, a little bit more tricky. What's your thoughts in that? Are you a fan of that? Do you think it's necessary to justify, or do you think that's us overthinking things again?
I think that's the business owner managing their own anxieties and making them feel better about the price increase. I think 9 times out of 10, it's the business owner going, I need to justify this to myself to make me feel more comfortable with charging that money. So I've always charged £200 for this. I need to charge £250, so I'm going to give them something for that extra 50, because then they'll think it's worth it. And it's that perception of value and positioning of where it sits in the marketplace and how confident you are in it, how confident you are in the value that people are getting from you.
And I think that comes back to a little bit to do with, that customer experience thing, because I come from a background of doing product marketing. The basis of that is that you are constantly talking to your customers. You are constantly finding out what's going wrong with them. You're constantly finding about how you can product develop the things that are going to ultimately solve those problems. Yeah. So if you are actually in your business in that way, that you will know what you're talking to your customers, you're finding out what's going on with them, you're adding value to those customers, and you're constantly doing that, your business is growing anyway, because technically you are actually, and you should be, cross-selling, upselling, that sort of stuff. Yeah. You're adding really relevant value to your client base. So actually, when it comes to putting up the prices, you will have added so much value up front that it shouldn't make any difference. But I think a lot of businesses don't spend a lot of time in that space. No. They innovate based on what they think their customers want. And I think that probably is quite an important part of pricing, actually, because if you are doing that, you are actually a premium business, aren't you? And therefore, your prices should reflect that, because most businesses are not doing that. They're just selling some stuff.
Yeah. There's such a small percentage of businesses that actually invest time in their customers and getting to know what people want and need, and then adapting their delivery based on that. There's tiny percentage. Lots of businesses just trot out their products and their services, and they create services and products. And part of the sort of reason that I advocate this annual review of products and services is because you can be throwing loads of energy behind the thing that you think is your flagship product or service, but actually most of your customers don't really value it that much. They value something that you hardly spend any of your time in. And if you pivot slightly, everything skyrockets because you're pushing the wrong thing.
Yes, agreed.
Everything we've talked about so far has been about putting prices up, hasn't it? And I think we'll come to like deciding on prices in the first instance in a moment. But so you do your annual pricing review, you put prices up. You have a client that comes back that says, "I'm really going to struggle with that." I have a couple of things that I'll say to people. Look, here are a couple of things that we can do. One is, if you give me some commitment, if we put in place a 12-month agreement rather than a rolling thing or something like that, then I can do a little bit on pricing.
Yeah.
The other is prepayment. So, if we bundle this into paying for 6 months up front, then, I can do something with the price there. And that's kind of like my sort of fallback if someone does come back and say, I'm struggling with this a bit.
Yeah.
And generally that mitigates it pretty well. And then if someone still says can't afford it anymore, then I go, well, I think that might be the point that we have to shake hands and so be it. What's your thoughts, tactics, tips on that one?
I think there's a couple of things for me. One is having the confidence to say, okay, come to me when you're in a position where you can afford it. And I think as a business owner, especially early on in your business journey, I think you want to get every bit of business that's out there. And if somebody comes to you and goes, oh, that's a bit more than I, would want to pay, lots of people fall into the trap of going, okay, I'll charge you less, because they're afraid of not having that business, rather than going, okay, maybe this isn't my customer. And sometimes it's admitting to yourself that they're not your tribe or your customer. They're not your target market. And also, we have a life cycle of customers, and I think that's something that, again, business owners don't think about often enough. Is that most customers have a life cycle. If you don't understand that life cycle, it may be that somebody's been with you. Some of my clients are with me 6 months. Some have been with me from the beginning, so three and a bit years on. But most of my one-to-one clients have a life cycle of between 6 and 12 months because they've got what they need from me. They've got a lot of tools. They can implement it. And if they're going to come back to me with an issue later on, it'll be a different set of conversations. But it's having the confidence to go, okay, that's fine. Not a problem at all. And just standing by that. It's almost ambivalent about the fact that if they're not going to buy from you, they're not going to buy from you. That's fine. If it's a long-standing relationship, or you have more insight into the way that they're structured, or what they can and can't afford, and there's some real value in that relationship, then sometimes putting a payment plan in place could be that simple. Say, okay, so this is the price, and obviously there's no flexibility on that because my price is my price, and the value that you're getting from it justifies that price. But what if we split it over 3 payments to make it easy for you? Because I understand cash flow, it could be quite a big hit on your cash flow. So, if you're charging, I don't know, £2,000 for a set of 6 coaching sessions, somebody might not be able to afford that in one hit, so maybe split it over the 6 months and go, okay, no problem at all, pay me for 3 up front, and then let's split the rest over 6 payments. Therefore, you maintain your price. It positively impacts your cash flow because you can have money dripping in every month that you then don't have to worry about filling, and you've gone some way towards meeting your customer.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. We take it a bit personally, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think there's an underlying psychological battle, which is sometimes it's all right for, it's like sometimes a relationship needs to end.
Yeah.
You have some great times together and you'll always have those memories, but for all the right reasons, you've got to move in different directions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same with clients. And we worry about like, oh, well, we might see them out on the networking scene, and, you might bump into them it becomes quite a personal thing, doesn't it?
But if you've delivered value and you've had a good working relationship, there's no reason why that can't end. And then you bump into them next month at network. How are you getting on?
Yeah.
How's things going? Are they good?
I think if you can keep that relation. I mean, I have this a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
You know, I have people.
People dip in and out, don't they? Yeah.
Because some people, they come and they get what they need, but then if they leave on in a good situation, sometimes if they've grown enough, they might send their second in command along at a later, or they will exit themselves from the operational stuff and come back in as a networker.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes there's other things that kind of crop up, and you just, I think you just have to kind of like with anything, you've got to just end it with the best way you can, because the business community is very small and people will crop up all over the place, so you don't want to burn any bridges with people, but equally you're a business and you can't do things for free. And also I find that if people don't always pay what they're due, they expect they quite often end up being what what I call the grade C clients, the ones who don't pay on time. They want a lot more for their money.
Yep.
They're a real hog on your time. When actually you should be spending time with the people who are like your big fan, who do value what you do, because they are the link to the next clients. They're the link to the next good people. And you've got to be really careful that you don't actually end up stuck using all your time and energy up on somebody who doesn't value what you do.
Yeah.
And it is hard. That does come with a little bit of business maturity, I think, because you've got to maybe kiss a few frogs to get there in the first place.
Yeah, and I also think you've got to learn that. I think one of the conversations, as you were saying that, I've literally got 4 different conversations in my head at once that I've had with different people, and I think you know who those customers are or clients are before you start dealing with them. Your first interaction with them, you know that they're going to be a pain.
Yes.
And you go for it anyway, and they turn out to be a pain. They're slow pairs.
True.
And it's always the ones that, could you just do me a favour and you feel obliged to, and then you do. And they're always the ones that suck your time or energy, and they're just like mood hoovers. They're just, but they also suck the money out of you as well, because you're doing things for free, or you're doing things on the cheap because you said you do them a favour. And I think it comes with business maturity and a confidence in what you do to learn the word no.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most powerful words a business owner can learn is no, especially a single owner operator. You just go, do you know, no, that's not for me. And you don't have to I don't think you ever have to end a business relationship badly.
No.
Even if somebody doesn't pay you, tucks you up, bad mouths you to other people, you can control how you react to that. And if you control in the right way, you react professionally and you go, do you know what? That's fine. We'll just not work together in the future. That's fine. Just walk away.
Exactly.
And have the confidence to walk away, because there are always more customers. There's always more money to be made.
And, it's having that confidence in what you do. You know you do a good job. Yeah. You know you're very clear on what it is that you actually do. And you just, there's always going to be rough moments in that process, and where you won't see eye to eye with people. And that's just the way it is, really, Absolutely. And like you say, it's up to you whether you allow them to take your power away or not.
It is, yeah. And very few of us sit in a market of one. Yeah. Most of us sit in a marketplace that's surrounded by other people doing what we do. There are lots of people doing coaching and consultancy, with Heath, and the stuff that I do. They're not they're not competition. They're people that I collaborate with, and there's just more. There's more work out there.
Well,
the more people know, the more people book, and the more people want that kind of service. And I think you can get sort of caught up in not knowing where you sit in that, or where you want to sit and be positioned in that market.
And I always say to people, because I'm the same, the networking industry is totally saturated with so many different ways to network. And I have a good relationship with most networking providers, because I don't see them as a competition, because first of all, my members will probably join other organisations as well, so straight away. But secondly, humans have free will, and they will choose to do what they choose to do, and there is nothing you can do about that. They either like you or they don't, they want to work with you or they don't, they resonate with what you do or they don't, and you have to have you've got to have the good humour to just go, well, you know, they will come if it's the right thing, and if it's not, they won't. And you can't go round saying, oh, well, you know, they've stolen my customer, because they haven't stolen your customer. Your customer has free will. And if your customer goes somewhere else, even though you can see that that's the wrong decision, then they just have to go make the expensive mistake.
They do,
And you can't change them, and you can't tell them what to do. They've got to make that mistake themselves. And all you can do is keep a good relationship with them and know and tell them, you know, anything changes, you know where I am.
Absolutely.
And, you know, 9 times out of 10, they turn off again.
And they come back. They do. They do. You control the controllables, and the only thing usually within your control is how you respond and how you react. And if you have in your head that that's fine, off you go. You go and work with them and do what you need to do. Absolutely fine. Here if you need me, Phil. You know, I think if you fall into the trap of pointing out to them the mistake, or what I call negative marketing, i.e. slagging off a competitor, the only person it damages is you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it erodes your quality, your value, your worth in the marketplace by doing that. It doesn't make them look worse. It makes you look worse.
And going back to the concept of pricing, you know, if they've gone somewhere and spent less on it and had a rubbish experience, then they're going to come back and value what you do more at a later date. And it's in anything in business, it's always good to play the long game. You know, it's not about just trying to smash and grab.
No.
Because all you just end up with is a bunch of people you don't actually like working with. They don't really like working with you. They want something for nothing. And that's not, there's no joy in that, is there at all?
I think what we do need is... this doesn't happen to me very often because there aren't that many other people that do what I do. But sometimes I will have a conversation with someone and we have a follow-up chat and they've said, oh, I've found so-and-so who the same thing, but they're cheaper. And I think you do kind of need to know what your response to something like that is, and to kind of, you know, this really comes down to the confidence. Like you've got to square that off with yourself before you can square that off with someone else. Yeah. And you say, that's great. If that's the right thing for you, you should absolutely do it. But, you know, here's why I charge what I charge for my time, because, you know, I've done this and I've done that. And, you know, you explain why there is a difference in how you do things. Yeah. And also, you know, maybe that sort of mention of, and actually, I think some people are just, they're trapped in a race to the bottom and I'm not prepared to get involved in that. Yeah. And people generally kind of go, yeah, I get that, I understand that. And if it's still right for them to go with a different option, whether that is for price reasons or for whatever that reason is, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. But you will get asked that. So I think it's important, isn't it? And really useful to kind of have that squared off to yourself, that I am worth what I ask people for, and this is why. Yeah.
And actually, it's going back to the age-old question that we talk about all the time, that I'm like, you know, I'm obsessed with, and that is why.
Why? Always.
Why?
Written down about 5 times on this.
Yeah. Why are you looking for a podcast consultant? You know, if it's to do a little podcast there's no real value behind it, it's just a cute thing you want to do, then, you know, maybe James isn't the right person for you, because, you know, what he's going to do is going to be more involved, and perhaps he's going to work on something a little bit more strategic with you. But if you just quite fancy having a podcast, then perhaps the cheap option is what you need, because your why is that there's no value applied to that thing. Yeah. And that's what it really comes down to. It's your why, isn't it? And if their why doesn't fit with your why, then you're not going to do business. Certainly not happy business. So.
No, definitely not. And it's that finding your tribe, isn't it? It's finding the people who you resonate with, who have similar values and similar goals and aspirations, and you can, you know, bump along with quite comfortably, rather than somebody you're just going to butt heads with and clash with because your whys are completely different.
Yeah.
And some people are in it just for something quick, cheap. They just need to tick a box. And 9
times out of 10, there's no strategy behind it in the first place, because that's the thing, is that everyone's like, oh, new shiny object.
Yeah. I remember when I used to be an electrician years ago, and I used to say to clients, when I quoted them for, I
was just going to say, like, we've all hired an electrician and gone for the cheap option and regretted it.
I used to say to people, you can have cheap, good quality, or fast. You can have 2 of those 3, but you can't have all 3. Mm-hmm. So which do you want? You choose. And they all went for like slightly quicker with better quality. Okay, it's not going to be cheap then.
Yeah. It's the reason we all ultimately go back to buying Heinz ketchup rather than the supermarket.
Every time, James.
Oh,
every
no.
time. And we've all done it.
Well, it used to be Bannister ketchup. I think it's called Hellman's now. But that's my favourite ketchup.
Oh, no.
I don't like Heinz ketchup. It's too sweet for me.
But you don't, the
Supermarket.
all the brands are available. The smart price ketchup.
This is not a ketchup advertisement.
Heinz, if you'd like to actually send us in some
freebies.
some freebies, then yeah.
But not smart price. We'll dodge that. What about someone who's right at the start of this journey then? So I feel like what we've talked about here has been very centred around, as I think a lot of our audience probably are, those people who are already a certain way into their journey. I look back to when I first began and I think, God, is that really what I used to charge people? Blimey, how did I ever make ends
survive
or something?
Yeah.
But then I also think gosh, if I'd have gone in here, this would have all just been so much easier and smoother. But it's really, really difficult at the beginning, isn't it? Because you do, like your valet guy, you do kind of feel obliged when you're starting. You think, well, my position in the market kind of has to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
You just feel
that's where you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you think I'll grow my way up as I go, and that's really difficult. So what's your advice for people who are right at the beginning in terms of figuring out what they should be charging?
I think there's a couple of things that people should bear in mind, especially early on, and it depends whether you're business to business or whether you're business customer, business consumer. I think business to business people, it would be really advantageous for them to get their heads around the fact that if they're working business to business and they're not winning everything, a huge percentage of the people they're dealing with, if they're new as well, aren't going to be in business in 2 years anyway. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Because you're there to build, as you say, it's a long game. People who survive 3, 5, 7 years, they're the ones that are going to build and grow. And you've got to have your eye on where you're going strategically. So if you're going to set yourself, bottom market because how you feel is insecure, a bit nervous about your positioning in the market and where you should be, then is that going to be your long-term plan? Are you always going to be? And if that's where you want to be, that's fine, because there are some providers or some service providers that see themselves as, an affordable option for people who just want something quick, cheap, and easy to access. Mm-hmm. And that's where they set themselves permanently. If that's not where you aspire to be, then have a look at the other people in the marketplace that are doing what you want to do in 5 years' time. And who are those people and what are they charging and what's the value that they're giving to be able to charge that money? Mm-hmm. And I think very often we have a really good idea, or we're really good at doing what we do, and then we end up just setting a business up in it. And we're crap at running the business side of it, which is why I have a job. Because then, back to the electrician analogy, great electrician, maybe not be able to run a business so well. And I think there's investing the time right at the beginning of your journey to go, actually, that's where I want to be. I want to be the person, coaching the FTSE 100 chief execs, or I want to be the person coaching small business owners in Rotherham who are just starting up. Understand where it is you want to sit and what that market looks like and what the different pricing structures are. One of the analogies I give people quite often, and it's often with early on sort of business, so in the first year or two, is the bottle of water analogy, which is years old. So that bottle of water at the end of the table here, if you buy that in B&M, you'll pay 75p for it. You buy that same bottle of water in M&S, you're going to pay £2.95 for it. You buy it in an airport, you're going to pay a tenner. And it's because of positioning in the marketplace. There's nothing different about the bottle of water, just like there's nothing different about each individual business that starts up, because you don't have a unique place in the market at that point. But deciding what you want to be longer term will help you set that pricing structure. And then back to what you said, Nicky, about that value proposition. What are you actually offering your customers? What's the value that you're giving them? I remember having a conversation in my first year about a day rate for a charity that I was working with. And I told this chief exec my day rate, and he sort of sharp in, take a breath. And he said, well, that's a lot for a day. I said, you're not paying for a day, you're paying for 30 years. I've been running business for 30 years, and the applied knowledge and experience that I'm going to help you with is actually what you're paying me for. The fact that I can do it for you in a day is what you're paying for. It's not the day rate. And it's that value that you're going to get from that. So I think early on in business, we don't put enough time aside for that kind of planning and that kind of thought. Yeah. And digging into the why and who you want to be and where you want to be, and then act into that. That becomes who you are. If that's where you want to be in 5 years, act like it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that someone said to me many years ago that's always stuck with me, and I've said this to other people and it stuck with them as well, it really resonates with people, is if you, depending what kind of business you are, but if you are someone that puts proposals in front of clients, if you win every proposal, you're too cheap.
Yes.
And you could probably, overnight, double what you charge. And then if you win 7 out of 10 you're probably still too cheap.
Yep.
Push it up a little bit more. When you get to the point that maybe you're winning half of them, you're maybe just around the cusp of what's about right.
Yeah.
And I've always, because there've been times where I've put a proposal in, I've really thought about it and stuff like that. I've sent it to them, and 10 minutes later, I've had an email back coming, yes. And I'm like, I should have doubled that.
Yeah.
And they'd have thought about it over the weekend and still come back and said yes.
They would, yeah.
Because the proposal was right. It's just a number. It's just, this is the number I'm putting against. You want the work.
Yeah.
It's just whether the number matches. And they were obviously expecting something that was going to be a bit higher.
Yeah.
And so that's always stuck with me, that if you're getting more yeses than nos, then you're probably undercharging.
Absolutely. And I think the same thing goes for people with excessively high closure rates, shall we say.
Right.
So when I sit down with clients, I'm talking to them about their business now, it's growing. One of the first things I ask them is, so when you sit in front of your customers and you're quoting, how many do you get out of 10? How many are you successful for? And, some people feel really proud that 80%. Okay, you're way too cheap then.
Yeah.
And the look of shock and horror on their face that's not a good thing, because they think that if we're back to school, that's the right answer. I've got an 80% closure rate. 8 out of 10 people buy from me. Yeah, you're too cheap.
Yeah.
If it's more than 1 in 3, you're probably too cheap.
Yeah. It's just a very basic equation, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's back to what we said right at the beginning, which is, would you like to do twice as much work to earn the same amount of money, or half as much work to earn the same amount of money, and actually be able to just do a really good job for the clients that you work with? That's where it's not about being lazy, is it? It's about really wanting to dedicate the right amount of time, headspace, availability, all the stuff that's really important for the clients that we work, depending what kind of business you are. But I'm thinking about me here very much so. But I make a big deal about, with my clients, look, if you WhatsApp me, I reply. Don't WhatsApp me about everything, but if there's a problem, I will get back to you, and I can do that because I have a certain number of clients that I work with at any one time, and they all have to pay me a certain amount, because that means I've got that time to be able to spend on that stuff. So agree with all that.
Yeah, because we just end up in that vanity metrics of how many clients we've got. Otherwise, you just end up chasing more and more and more clients instead of thinking about how much you want to earn at the end of the year. So how much revenue do you want? What does your profit look like? What are your costs? And what's that number? And what does that equate to in terms of clients?
And you want to have that good feeling, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to be, we don't go into business. Well, I guess some people go into business to give themselves a job.
Some people do own their job.
Some people do just go into business. But if you're going into business to be a business, then actually it's very likely that what you want is to be able to control your lifestyle. So actually being able to do work that gives you joy and you feel fulfilled, both, mentally and financially, and you are able to do some of the things alongside your business that you'd like to be able to do, if that's playing golf, or if that's volunteering for a charity, or if it's going to the gym, or whatever it is, then that's the perfect place you want to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually your pricing is right in the middle of all of that, isn't it?
It's right at the heart of it. It really is. Your pricing gives you your time, gives you your freedom, gives you ability to grow. It gives you all those things.
And I suppose the other side of the pricing thing is, yes, you want to look at what the market is doing, and you want to compare yourself and put yourself in the market. But I guess the flip side of that is what you said at the beginning about the profitability.
Yeah.
It's about also looking at what costs you have in your business.
Yes.
And how the pricing actually is helping you to sustain your business alongside it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, or what you want to earn for your lifestyle. That's the other thing that people don't often invest time in. They just think about putting their price out there and getting customers, but they don't actually think about what they want to earn. How many holidays do you want a year? What do you want your house to look like? What car do you want to drive? How many motorbikes do you want in the garage, in my case? But it's all relative, because without making your business work in that way, it should work for you. And one of the things I say to my clients quite regularly is, your business should feed you professionally, but it also should feed your soul. And if your business isn't feeding your soul, it's not feeding your why, and eventually you're going to resent it.
Yeah.
and you're not going to put the effort in you should be. You're not going to do all this, the foundational stuff that you should be doing. You're not going to put the right effort in because you're resenting the fact that you've got to turn up every day because what you own is a job that's not paying you what it should be paying you.
No, because, whether you like it or not, there's all kinds of things we have to do as a business owner that, are not paid for things, are they? You've got to do a books and accounts and marketing and all that kind of stuff. It's all got to...
All the life draining stuff.
Yeah, but it's all got to be...
Mileage expenses. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, sticking receipts on zero. Yeah, but there are a lot of jobs in your business that has to be done, whether you do them or someone else does them. So whether you're doing it from your own time or you're paying someone else to do it. So it's all got to be factored in, hasn't it?
Yeah, and there's a cost to all of it.
Yeah.
Everything has a cost attached to it. And the other thing that people don't cost in is their time. So they'll cost in a product or they'll cost in a session, but they won't cost in the time. And what I talk to people about quite a lot is the thinking time. If you've not got a manual, if your business isn't manual or your job isn't manual, your job's done in your head. And you need thinking time, you need planning time, you need to actually do the stuff that means you can sit in front of a client.
Yeah.
Or, put a podcast together. There's so much prep goes in mentally. Yeah. That's all time. And it's all stuff you need paying for.
People are really rubbish at working in cost of acquiring a client as well, aren't they?
Yes.
So, every bit that we invest into networking, including our time, you
absolutely
pay to go to networking sessions, but you're also putting your time into that, and that means when you win a client, that some of them are going to come through that kind of networking route.
Yeah,
some of what they pay has to. You've got to attribute that to that in the same way. I'm probably going into too much depth here, but I outsource work sometimes to some freelancers when I'm particularly busy for different elements. And I would expect to pay them less than a client would pay them directly because they don't have the cost of acquisition to take into account. I've done that bit, so that's my cut from an arrangement. I'm paying myself for the fact that I've gone out and won this client, but I need your help in delivering a bit of it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the dream, isn't it? Someone just turns up and just here's some work for you. You've not got to deal with the client directly at all. I'll do all the horrible, ugly bit. But you know what? You're going to earn a little bit less from that, and that's just the way that it kind of works. But I think a lot of people are really bad at working in that kind of thing. That it takes time, it takes effort, and there's a financial cost to acquiring clients.
There is.
Make sure you work that into how you view your pricing. You wouldn't send them an invoice with cost of client acquisition on it, but you should be aware of that yourself.
Yeah.
No, and actually, the other really scary thing to do in a business is to actually try and work out your hourly rate.
Yes.
I mean, that
and what you should be billing.
Really horrific,
Yeah.
if you actually really think about what your hourly rate is.
I hate that. When people go, and even like day rate, what's your day rate?
Day rate.
And my answer is always, and I just make a noise because I'm like, there is a number if I really have to, but I'm more of a project-based guy. It's very, very rare that someone actually just wants me for a day. They think that's what they want, or they're like, oh, your day rate's such and such, can I have you for 3 days?
Yeah.
I'm like, doesn't really work like that. Because you'll need me for a bit afterwards. And then actually, some of the stuff that we do on the last day, we'd be better off coming back together in 2 or 3 weeks and doing that when you've had a little bit of time to think about it. So actually, what you want is this project, which does include maybe probably 3 days worth of hours altogether. Yeah. But, we're going to do it a little bit differently. So I hate it,
What I mean is your actual hourly rate.
Or what you actually earn when you're doing the mileage.
If you actually worked out what you do and
what you earn,
what you actually earn off it, that can be really, really.
But what do you class as like when you have a job and you're working 37.5 hours a week, or you're working 9 to 5 or whatever, you can work that out, and you take 5 weeks off a year.
But if you worked out how many hours you work in your business,
take a couple of hours off in the afternoon to go and do something, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to start trying to figure out really what that is.
In a very simple equation, it's how many hours did you work in your business and how much did you earn? And if you kind of work that out, is it actually, the amount of people that I've done that equation with, and they're earning they're learning nothing. Minus
well, some people are working till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Some people just bury themselves in their business.
Yeah.
But
you get
billable is 3 hours.
Yeah, but you look at what they're actually doing, and they're earning negative amounts of money. Really, I mean, it's not in realistic terms they're not, but if you look at their lifestyle, they are. And actually, the other thing as well is about pricing is it's not just about the customer acquisition. Customer retention is something that also people do very poorly. They put all effort, time, money, etc. into acquisition of new customers, but they don't put very much into the retention and the advocacy of the ones that they've got, because the ones you've got are actually the link to your next one. And if you take care of those people, so actually, quite often there's quite a disparity, I think, of people spending all their marketing budget on trying to get new stuff all the time, and not actually putting their energy into what they could spend on making their customers love them and helping those customers to help them find more good quality people like them rather than dragging people off the street. So
I think right. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't be a ridiculous idea, would it, to suggest if you're working with someone and you're waiting on something coming back from them, or they've been a little bit slow with something, and then you see a post that they do on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I've got a gap for a new client," or "I'm really looking to work with a electrician," or whatever it might be, and you're just like, you should really be taking care of the people that are already paying you money. That's a bad look.
Sat here waiting.
Yeah. So you're right. You are right. You are right. I try and I try and do it every Friday of just having going through, these are the people that are paying me money this month. Have I done everything that I need to do for them? Am I communicating with them? Do I need to just send them an email just going, is everything all right? Do you need anything else from me? Yeah. And they probably get fed up with me doing that, but I also think they really value, James is really on it.
It's a great discipline.
But people don't do that enough. And, I mean, sometimes it's the simplest things, like dropping a card through the post to say, I've really enjoyed the session that we've been doing together, or I've really enjoyed working with you over this last couple of weeks, or, and if they've mentioned something about, personally, I hope your daughter's 18th birthday went well, or something. That stuff is gold. And nobody does it. No. Nobody does it.
I'll quite often drop my clients a WhatsApp saying, how's your week been?
Yeah.
Just a random, how's your week been? Hope everything's going okay. And it's not a pitch, it's not a sales pitch, it's a genuine, how's your week been?
Yeah, and I do this.
Because they're going through stuff.
I do hello messages. I just literally do hello messages to people. Hi, how are you?
It does matter. And I don't think people do get fed up of it. I think if you've got that discipline, it's a really good discipline to have, and lots of business owners don't do it, just like they don't follow up. People that they're not successful in landing as clients, they just don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's stats something like 85% of businesses don't do follow-ups. When they're not successful, people are dead to them. Whereas if you just follow up, it doesn't mean they haven't bought from just because they haven't bought from you doesn't mean they bought from somewhere else. It might be on, they're just not yet.
Yeah.
And if you just follow them up and keep in touch, they might either refer you to somebody else, or they might buy off you in 3 months' time.
Or 3 years' time.
I got somebody 2 years down the line booked me for a piece of work. I've been dropping them a message every 4 to 6 weeks. How's things going? 2 years later, have you got capacity to coach our leader in Canada? I'm like, yeah, fine. You're going to fly me out? No. Some teams. Right, okay.
Well, but I think
that was 2 years.
I think
from the initial conversation to landing a piece of work, it was 2 years of just messages and emails.
I had somebody who I hadn't seen for 7 years who just knew where I was, because I'm active enough that I keep out there. People know where I am. They know what's going on. They know what we're doing. Literally 7 years, literally right, Nicky, I've decided to go back to networking. Which one of your groups shall I join?
Perfect. Because they see the value in it.
Just because they weren't ready to buy. They weren't in the, they had other things going on. They were not ready to do that. Yeah. But you just need to accept that not everybody's in the buying cycle. Or they might be hovering around it, but they haven't jumped in it because they're not ready yet. They're not ready to commit. They're not ready to, they haven't got the time. They haven't got the money. They like what you do and they like the idea of doing something, but they are not ready to buy from you.
No.
And they might not be ready to buy for a very long time. No. But that doesn't mean to say that you haven't got that sustainable lead in the future.
No, and the way you conduct yourself in that interim period will determine whether they buy from you or not.
And will definitely mean that when they do come to you, they see the huge amount of value in you, and you shouldn't have any issue with what you charge them.
Yeah. Back to James' comment about what do you say when somebody says about your day rate.
Yeah.
The flippant answer I always give people, it's going to be more than you think. What is it you're looking for?
Yeah.
I never quote money, never quote figures when people say that. So what is your day rate? I'm like, more than you think it's going to be, but what are you looking for?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you tell them more than you think, they create a number in their head. And then when you actually quote them, they go, oh, I thought it was going to be more than that. So,
Fair enough.
there you go.
I've got a feeling I know what your answer to this is going to be.
Oh, go on
but
then.
what is the homework that you are going to set for our listeners?
So the homework, unsurprisingly, is going to be have a sit down, look at your products or your services, and ask yourself an honest question: when was the last time you reviewed the prices?
Yeah.
Even if it was 3 months ago, look at them again.
Mm-hmm.
Review your prices. Look where you sit in your marketplace and where you want to sit. Look at the money that you're earning, and is it enough? And what do you want to earn? And by what that for your entire year, what does that look like? And then take action. Take action accordingly. And if your prices need to go up, grab hold of it, write that email, send the communication, and put your prices up. And if you're just about to quote, don't press send. Add 10%, then press send.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Like
yeah.
that one, yeah.
I'm up for that.
Yeah, and then I think
Heath told me to do this.
Heath says,
I've got 10% on this.
those two words go on the front of so many sentences.
It's like a Heath tax.
Yeah, it is.
You've heard of stealth tax. This is the Heath tax.
Heath.
I love it.
Yeah. It could get famous.
Add the 10%.
Yeah.
Don't
I think that's a
spend
really good
that 10%.
actionable tip, because it's not, if you said homework is go away and double your prices, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But say on a because if they come back as, you can always take 10% off, can't you? If that's a great bit of homework.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. That's been really insightful.
Thank you.
And definitely going to help listeners a lot, that I think.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your attendance today. I hope you've learned something new. Every day is a business school day after all. If you'd like to contact us or perhaps put yourself forward as a future guest, find either Nicky or myself on LinkedIn, or you can drop us a line using the links in the show notes. Right, school is out. Please wait for the bell before you leave.